Hello children, now we have to discuss about the separation technique. How can we separate the components from the mixtures? In the previous video we had discussed about true solution, mixtures, suspension and colloids. Now if they are mixed, then how can we separate the components? So there are various techniques. First technique is simplest technique, that is called as evaporation. In evaporation, we have to heat the mixture so that one substance evaporates and another remains over there on the plate only. This is used for the mixture. Those are having volatile, one volatile component and another is non-volatile component. Now, what is volatile component? Volatile means that can vaporize. Volatile means that can vaporize easily through heating. So, one substance should be volatile, such as we have ink in water. Then water gets evaporate and ink will not evaporate, it will be there only. Or salt in water, sugar in water, water gets evaporate because it is volatile component, and salt, sugar, ink, these are non-volatile, so they remains over there on the plate only. So evaporation is the simplest technique. Next technique, it is centrifugation. In centrifugation, there is a centripetal force which we have to apply. By washing machine we can apply, by our mixer grinder we can apply on the mixtures. So if we want to remove cream from milk, if we want to remove washing powder from the clothes by rinsing them, then this process is useful. So in centrifugation, what is there? The denser particle, by rotating them in a machine, centrifugal machine, the denser particle, those are having more density, they will remain at the downside, at the downward direction, and the substances or the component which is having less density, they will be in the upper side, such as cream will be at the above side of the milk. So we can separate the cream, we can use this in the washing machine, this process in the washing machine, or we can use in the for the urine test, for the blood test we can use. There is a kind of machine in the laboratory also, in the factories also, for this centrifugation process. Now next technique is separating funnel. Separating funnel is used, it is a type of funnel only in which one tap is there, stopcock is there, so we can stop it when we needs it. Then if we have two immiscible liquids are the liquids which are not going to mix into each other. So such as kerosene and water, or petrol and water, oil and water. So oil is having lesser density, oil will be at the above side and water will be at the down side. So there will be a tap. From this tap we have to open it, then water gets out from the separating funnel and oil will remains over there only. So if two immiscible liquids are there, then we can use this technique. After that we have to use sublimation. Sublimation is the process from which a solid directly can convert in gaseous form, or a gas directly converts into solid. So there are some substances, those cannot be separated by these techniques. So such as NH4Cl, ammonium chloride and NaCl. Ammonium chloride and NaCl. NaCl, it is a non-volatile liquid and a non-volatile solid, and NH4Cl is a sublimating substance. It can convert directly from solid to gaseous form. So we can use the sublimation technique here. In this technique we have to use a porcelain dish. In that porcelain dish, what we have to take? We have to take this mixture, those we want to sublimate, then we have to apply an inverted funnel on that. Then cotton plug, then we have to heat it. The sublimating substance such as ammonium chloride, camphor, naphthalene balls, anthracene, these are sublimating substances. Those will change from solid to gaseous directly. When they heats up, then we have to remove this porcelain dish. After cooling, gases of ammonium chloride or camphor, they will be removed. They will be converted in solids. So we can, by scratching them, we can separate. So this is sublimation. Then chromatography. Chroma means color, children. So colored component can be separate from non-colored component by this technique. In higher level, we have to study about the paper chromatography, thin layer chromatography. Many chromatography techniques are there. So here we are discussing only about a paper chromatography. In that we have to use a chromatogram paper. It is such like a paper, filter paper, on which some substances are applied so that it has the adsorption quality. Adsorption means absorption on the surface only. We have to mark here about 2 centimeter. Here we have to use a colored component and a non-colored component. So we again we have to dip it in water. Then the colored component moves upside. This colored component, it can be dissolved in any other solvent. We can remove this, and the colored component can be removed from pigments from water, pigments from flower petals, or hemoglobin from the blood. We can remove by this technique, or other colored component we can separate by this technique. Next technique is, children, after crystallization, the next technique is distillation. So in distillation also we boils the substances, but we have to take such kind of substances, those are not going to change their composition after boiling. So we can use in distillation, we can use acetone, other organic substances also, acetone and alcohol and other substances, those boiling point are very closer to each other. So in distillation we have to take distillation flask. In distillation flask we have to use condenser also and other equipment, those are set in the laboratory. We have to heat it. The substance which boils first, it vaporizes and moves to the condenser. In condenser it cools and its liquid can be collected. So it is called as distillation. If the boiling point difference is lesser than 25 Kelvin, then we can use the fractionating column. That is the glass column which is filled by glass beads. So the vapors, those arises first. They can get very faster, cooler, and converts in the vapors quickly. So we can use the fractional distillation also. Next technique, how can we separate the components of air? Air is having nitrogen 78%, then oxygen 21%, and how can we separate? So for this we have to use compression, giving high pressure, decreasing temperature. These techniques and fractional distillation we can use to separate the different components of air. Then next technique is crystallization. Crystallization is formation of crystals. Sea water can be purified. We can have the salt from sea water by this process. We can have the pure crystals of potash alum by this process. In this process, 2 processes are involved. First is evaporation, first is filtration, then second is evaporation. So in filtration we have to filter the content, then we have to remove the impurities. After that we have to boil it. After boiling we have to cool down the substance so that the crystals can be formed. Those are in pure form. So these are the techniques to separate the different components of the mixtures. Now the next topic is physical and chemical changes. This you have studied in your earlier classes. Physical properties are related with the physical nature, physical state, change in physical state. Not change in any composition, not change in any chemical nature. So change in rigidity, change in boiling point, change in physical state, compressibility, change in shape, size. These are all related with the physical changes such as cutting of trees, tearing of paper, changing ice into water. So these are physical changes, but in which the changes in which chemical composition is going to be changed, those are called as chemical changes. In those processes, chemical properties can be changes. So in chemical changes there are various examples. Burning is main chemical change. Burning in the presence of oxygen, it is called as combustion also. So in combustion chemical changes occur. So in the laboratory we are heating, we are mixing two substances and we are giving temperature, pressure, by them new compounds are going to be formed. Those are chemical changes. Next are elements and compound. So element word it is given by Lavoisier. Elements are the group of atoms. Those are not combined with each other. They cannot separate from each other and they cannot divide it further also. So elements can be divided in three parts: metal, non-metal and metalloids. Metals are having different characteristics, such as they are having luster, they are sonorous, lustrous, they are having sonorous. Sonorous means they produce sound when beaten by hard objects. Then they are having some shining surface also. They are having ductility, they can be drawn into thin wire. Gold is having maximum ductility nature. Then malleability, they can convert in thin sheets also. Then what are the other property? They are having brittle nature. Some solids are having brittle nature. So metals, all the metal in the periodic table, there are 92, approximate 90 metals we have discovered up to now. Iron, copper, aluminium, silver, these are metals. Next element is non-metal. Non-metal examples are carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, sulfur. These are the example of non-metal. We know that non-metal exists in the gaseous form generally. They are not solid, they are not rigid, and they are not. They may be compressed. They may be compressed because they are having gaseous nature. And they are not sonorous, they are not ductile, means the reverse nature of the metal. Those are called as non-metal. Then metalloid. Metalloid are having both type of property, metallic and non-metallic. So iron, copper, silver, gold, these are known as elements. All are known as element. And the example of metalloid are silicon, germanium, arsenic. These are the example of metalloid. Those are having both type of property, metallic and non-metallic. Now what about compounds? Mixtures are different. Mixtures are mixing of two components. And the pure substance is different. Elements are different. Elements are the same type of atom, though those are not reacted with each other, but they cannot be cut into smaller pieces or divided into smaller pieces. And what are compounds? Now compounds are the combination of elements. When elements react with each other, their chemical properties changes, then these are called as compounds. For example, we can take Fe plus sulfur. Iron and sulfur, by heating it can form ferrous sulfide. Iron is having magnetic property, sulfur is powderous substance. So iron is a metal, it is a non-metal, but metal and non-metal both are forming a compound here. FeS is just different property from its element. It is non-metallic, it is metallic property, both are showing, but FeS is a compound, it is showing just different properties. Its chemical composition is different. So compounds, we can take another examples also, such as H2O, CO2, CH4, methane. These are the examples of compounds. So elements and compounds are different from each other. Elements are single atoms, but they can be more atoms in a group. They are not combined with each other. But if they combine, then they can form compounds. So there are molecules of compound. In the next chapter we have to study about that, atoms and molecules. So the chapter is over. Thank you.